Ladies and gentlemen, many of you might have heard about the crowds and crowds and crowds of people up at the US Mexico border trying to get into the country, and over 80,000 children, I think, are at the border. I mean, it has created such a major problem, but you can count on this happening during Democratic administrations. And you'll see this happening over and over. It happened during Trump. Let's not act like we didn't see the caravans coming. They kept coming and coming. But Joe Biden and this administration is pretty much opening their arms for these immigrants to come. Well, we know they come looking for a better life, looking for work, and they're coming for one additional reason, y'all. In Mexico, the vaccine rollout pretty much flopped. And many of these folks are crossing the border to get the COVID shot. They want the jab. I'm going to go ahead and play this audio from NPR.
The Biden administration has plans to send millions of doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine to Canada and to Mexico. That vaccine isn't authorized for use in the U.S. just yet. Mexico's been having trouble getting doses. People are waiting for months. But some rich and some well-connected Mexicans are coming to the U.S. to get their shots. Here's NPR's Carrie Kahn.
David Gutierrez in Sunza knows firsthand how devastating the coronavirus pandemic has been in the Mexican border city of Tijuana, where he's a state health official.
10 months ago, I was dying, okay? I have my second call in life.
He barely survived COVID and says only those who've had the disease know how he feels. He had to get his hand on a vaccine quickly, but most of Tijuana's limited supply is going to frontline hospital workers, so he looked for options and went across the border. Gutierrez switches to Spanish.
Ya no soy una persona que pueda enfermar al prójimo.
Now I'm vaccinated. I'm someone who won't infect a neighbor. That's really important, he says. Gutierrez was born in San Diego and has a California ID, using his brother's home address there. I asked if anyone at the San Diego vaccination site he went to checked if he worked or resided in the county, requirements to get the vaccine.
No me preguntaron. Si me hubieran preguntado...
No one asked me, he says, but if they had, I would have told the truth. There aren't exact numbers on how many Mexicans are getting shots in the U.S. Florida reported some 50,000 out-of-state residents receive vaccines before officials recently tightened ID requirements. Nevertheless, vaccine tourism has become a bit of a phenomenon in Mexico. It's easy to find testimonies and tips on social media and in chat groups about getting a vaccine in the U.S. Mexican TV host Juan Jose Orejel boasts on Instagram about getting his second COVID dose in Miami.
Aquí ando, miren, camine.
Officials never even asked for my visa, he laughs. 70-year-old Mauricio Fernandez Garza, a mayoral candidate in Mexico's richest city, posted on Facebook about his vaccine trip to Texas. He says he got his shot while observing the U.S. rollout strategy. NPR also talked to a number of other people who would only share their experiences or their relatives' experiences of going to the U.S. to get vaccines as long as they weren't fully identified, for fear of public backlash for cutting the line. Some of those people talked to me about taking trips to Texas, California, and to the ski resort of Vail, Colorado for a shot. Chris Widlack, spokeswoman for Eagle County, where Vail is located, says to get a vaccine there, you have to attest to working or living in the county 30 days prior to vaccination and 30 days after.
We expect you to be good citizens of the world and come in because you are eligible.
She says the state guidelines are purposely broad so undocumented residents, many who work in the city's resorts, won't be discouraged from getting the vaccine.
Chasing down people who may or may not be eligible after they appear to be eligible is probably not where we want to put our time and energy. We just want to get vaccine in arms.
And she says with vaccine supplies increasing lately, there's less of a need to be so restrictive. That is definitely not the case in South Texas, says State Representative Eddie Morales. His district includes 8 counties right along the border. He's been struggling to get vaccines and fielding lots of complaints of foreign nationals jumping the line. Recently, he was told by county officials about a private plane with 12 Mexicans arriving in the small town of Pecos. They all got vaccinated.
It's these influential, super rich Mexicans that have the means and are rigging the system.
He wants residency rules to be tightened
to make sure that the folks here in Texas are getting vaccinated before we can continue caring for others and our neighbors.
Mexico's president, however, believes the U.S. should help its neighbor now. The Biden administration will, quote, loan Mexico as many as 2.5 million doses. But the White House spokesperson said that the first priority remains vaccinating the U.S. population. David Gutierrez Insunza, the state health official from Tijuana, says he gets U.S. rules and regulations.
Pero en este caso particular, es la vida y la salud.
But in this particular case, he says, amid a worldwide pandemic, life and health of everyone should be priority number one. Carrie Kahn, NPR News, Tijuana.
So you hear that, y'all. Many of them are coming just for that jab because it's hard to get it in Mexico. So they're coming across the border, getting the shot, and that's really all they want. And some of them, of course, many of them want to stay in the U.S. We already know that. But, I know they always point the camera to Mexico. You can't tell me there's not Canadians doing this. Now, yeah, Canadian has a different system, but there's a lot of Canadians living right here in the U.S. and they go across the border all the time, So, wow, so much for that. So these folks have their own agenda for coming to the border and sending their kids to the border. But, Mexico is also, if you look up coronavirus and you type in Mexico, Mexico has been doing exceptionally bad with COVID. They've been struggling badly with it. And, I know there are many reasons, and a lot of times they just can't get good paying jobs. The pay in Mexico and a lot of parts of South America is very poor. And that's why these people will pile up, especially if you got a U.S. president welcoming them, telling them to come and they're welcomed and everything. Yeah, they're going to come in droves. They're going to come in droves like this for the next 4 years. And it's so bad that the border guards are begging for volunteers to come and help them with the crowds. It's been that crazy. So y'all tell me what you think. They can have my shot. I don't want it. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.